we do feel we're gonna have problems.
Building.
On this, she went, McDonald's, which I don't care.
I don't either. The only problem.
We have to put it in the plan. It's gotta be done. What about the rest of us? We have to determine when we're gonna put that plan out. Because I'm looking through the fiscal meeting.
Most of that we can't determine from over.
Yeah. Which, the total evaluation.
We'll have 3 pages kind of have it broken down.
Yeah. This is city municipal building. There's gotta be a 30-year plan, I'll tell you. But we didn't work out a total. This is the water department, $700,000. We're talking about $1.5 million. You change it to this one's $1 million for safety service.
Hi, Mr. Dibble.
Where's it gonna go? Where's it going into? Okay, look at the print I have it for you. We had 800, 900, we had, which one did I do? 900, 700, is $1 million. 6, right? And I'm looking at the separate.
Go all the way to that.
Is it all?
Yeah.
That is there now.
Critical. Year from that.
Evaluate the building. 380. Okay.
5 o'clock for the building.
How are you? How are you?
We didn't print these out.
You did. I bet you did.
No, I asked John and Mary if we should. For 137 pages. We emailed to everybody.
Where did it happen?
Yeah, everybody got it. Nikki, what's up? Yeah. 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 One call right now? Yep.
Niles. How you doing, Edward?
Yes.
Wait.
I actually printed it out.
Gentlemen, I'm looking around the room. Who the hell is he talking?
Hey, we need to do a sound check. Oh. Where for that?
Steve, I think, Steve, you were Steve.
Okay, yeah.
Oh, yeah, it's Steve.
That'll work. Thank you.
Yeah.
Bye.
I don't printed mine out. Oh, yeah.
I don't really think we
Yeah,
need
yeah, yeah.
I think we gave it to everybody.
I don't know if they are expecting a copy of it or not. Whatever you got.
What's that? If it becomes an issue, I'll run over and print out some copies of that. Well, I can just, I have it on the, what we emailed everybody, I can just walk over and that's 110 some pages each.
What is it?
The building assessment, you emailed it.
I don't know. He and Brandon, Steve, maybe it has to come through. I don't know. I'm gonna speak for Steve now. Frank and I usually not coming through. Thank you.
I'll call one of them. We got it.
Maybe. There you go. Very nice. You printed that? Nothing we're gonna stop. Nothing we're gonna do anything tonight. For years. We'll do that. What's the plan? You ready for that? Couple weeks yet? June.
They printed out the highlights. Well,
Yeah, she worked hard on it. We have a little bit.
trying to figure out ways because I had
Yeah.
You guys didn't get the plan that was emailed? Did you get the email at all?
Some weeks we get.
I'll get it sometimes, and sometimes I won't.
You know. I'll ask Pete. Right?
And they gave the money break. Linda, you get the assessment, did you get it in an email? Did you get the email? That was not one person. Through their product.
Good year. Good year. No. We have the, short.
I do not the detail. I do have the. That's 100. Yeah, I know.
All right, I'll look forward to it.
Hey, I brought that,
Oh.
before you go, public remarks here.
Let me mention.
I'm sure you're welcome. Yeah.
Ladies and gentlemen, we're here today for this roundtable to discuss the evaluation of the buildings, and so at this point I'm going to turn this over to the architects for a description. We all got an email and we saw the findings, but we're going to turn this over to you now.
I appreciate it very much.
Yes, sir.
And most of you know, I'm Bruce Mechanic, with Coastal Mechanic Architects. With me is Michelle Schwartz. She's been here before as well as part of our previous work for the city. And I'll just kind of go over where we're at over the past better part of a month or so. We've been working, visiting every single building complex, I should say, that is part of our list of city-owned buildings. There's amount to about 15 different complexes. Michelle was primarily responsible for making those visits and evaluating each of the different parts of it, how they work into the entire assessment of the building in terms of food pad for otherwise. I'll go through a little bit of what we're looking at. I want to start a little bit where we're at. If you take a look at the report, it's between 130 and 135 pages long. Every building is detailed in quite a bit of detail. It goes into some items that are necessary improvements, some items that are items that we should consider improving, but it gives you a basic overview of where each structure is in terms of what the needed repairs are. Right now, if you take one thing we did at the end of each building, we looked at what it would cost the city to build each of those buildings over again if you had to start from scratch. And right now you're looking at the city owning what amounts to between $25 and $30 million worth of structure. Because that's what it would take for us to rebuild each of these buildings over again. And when you look at the bottom line up here, you're looking at anywhere between $3 million and $4 million in even numbers to make the repairs necessary for these buildings to bring them up to what would be a reasonable operational standard. And so, what we're looking at right now is what our recommendations are, the priorities for our recommendations, and us being able to help you maybe make some of the decisions on maybe where you need to go. So that's really what we're here to describe today. One thing I want to go through is we started, as you may have looked through these reports, each building has its own section. And one of the things we started out with at the top of the report was the condition of the building, very straight in a gray box. The critical repairs that are required for that building, the cost of those critical repairs, and then the total recommended improvement budget for that building overall. So in a glance on 4 lines, you can see exactly the condition of what's needed for that building. Throughout the rest of that section within the building, it looks at the structural assessment, it looks at the architectural assessment, it looks at the mechanical assessment, and then the recommendations of what happens to those buildings, includes things like ADA and those issues, as well as the general site, as well as the detailed cost estimate of all the improvements that come into that total life cycle. So each building is analyzed in the same way, to give you an idea of what's needed for it. Most important part, as you look through this report, is actually when we take a look at the back of the report, and what you should have received, what Ed should have distributed today, was basically a cost summary. You put it up on the table there. It was slightly updated earlier today on that, but it actually lists the buildings, the cost summary, by priority. It has on there critical budget, 0 to 6 months, critical budget 0 to 12 months, short-term budget, and then it goes into a long-term, a mid-term budget, and a long-term budget. So each of those kind of gives you an idea of where your priorities lie. And if you look, let's say, on the front of that, on the critical budget, you can see that the first 4 items on there are directly related to roof repairs on there. As a matter of fact, pretty much everything on that critical list is roof repairs. That's where your most critical concern is right now. This building, safety service building, there's some head brick that we talked about earlier on there that needs to be taken off. And as you look through, there's some that are minor, such as scope. So some shingles, that need to be repaired, or actually flashing around the exhaust. Those things are easy numbers, but they need to be done before it gets worse. And that's the reason we put this in a way that as the city can make these repairs, these should be the order that they're considered, because eliminating roof leaks, eliminating water penetration into the building that goes into the wall system, into the ceiling system, and damages other things. These are the things that can actually help you in terms of your budget in budgeting, so that you can actually spread this out over a much longer term and not worry about doing one building completely and watch the other one deteriorate to the point where they're not useful. So that's what we did as far as room improvement. We can present this in 30 different ways if we look at it, but we try to do it so you can look at each building individually. You can look at the critical priorities that need to be addressed immediately, and then those that go in the long-term and short-term. Now, one of the things I think is also important is we have these in, say, 0 to 6 months or 0 to 12 months. Of course, that may not be possible. We know funding, is one of those things that you have to rely on funding. The important thing to say is that, let's say the critical is done in 0 to 12 months. Will it help? Certainly. Does it maybe change things down the road? Could water get in and do additional damage that we don't have documents here? Yes, it could. So it may change the dollar figures in the long run and actually, increase your cost. So there are trade-offs for doing things in kind of different time frames than what we have recommended here. We also put things in the report, kind of clustered what would go together in terms of repairs in some conditions, but I think realistically what we're looking at is we have to do what makes sense as we repair each building first. If we look at the chapel at the cemetery, that's one of the ones, there's not really rain coming in at this point, but there are missing shingles on the building. If we take the time to repair and replace those missing shingles, even if we do it piecemeal and don't do a full replacement, we're doing something to prevent that condition from getting worse. So we just have to take a look at this. If we're doing a shingle roof at one location, we can go over to the other location and just get it done, even if it doesn't match the program. So those are the types of things we need to look at. And then finally, I'm going to address one thing we had talked about before is buildings that are currently in use or partial use or maybe shouldn't be used. There are 2 different building complexes or buildings that we looked at that we do not recommend the city put money into. One of them is the water department. The water department building over here, the roof is totally missing. It has, literally the roofing is gone. The building next to it was the old Niles building, has missing windows. And while we didn't do actual testing there, it believes to have a fair amount of asbestos in it. It has water damage in it. It has roof leaks in it. And it is probably not worth time, money, or effort to put into repairing that building. So our recommendation is that it's a low priority, even tearing it down is a low priority. But if we have other options to get people out of the building, move equipment around, do whatever, we should consider doing that. The other building that we had put a question mark on, and it's partially because of the concern with the actual pool that is connected to this pool building. In reviewing the pool building and walking inside, you're glad we looked on the inside first as opposed to going up on the roof because probably someone would have fallen to the roof had they been on the roof. That's how bad the structural damage is on that building. And it has vertical horizontal displacement of some of the brick, which is a sign that there's something else going on. If you have cracks in the brick, you can tell that sometimes there's some movement. Some of that's to be expected. If you have displacement sideways or up and down that really separates it, there's concerns for that. And adding to that concern is there's some type of issue with the water line goes through. We've heard that it's actually under the pole. If that's the case, it even makes it worse because we work with some pool companies and their estimates actually replace the pole if there's water problems under the pole. Now that's $1 million repair, $1.2 million right there. If it's outside the pole and coming in line, that's a little bit easier. But that's a big question mark, and I would question very much whether we want to put money into that building. So, right now we walk into it, there's standing water, inch thick in the restroom. I mean, it's just in really poor shape. And so we would consider that either something that should be considered to look at for demolition removal, or something that is your lowest priority in terms of it. So I will that was a quick first assessment of where we were and everything. I'll let you ask some questions, and I can go into a little more detail on this if you'd like to. Anyone have questions at this point?
Go ahead. So a lot of it does seem like, after reading through this report, preventative maintenance. And I was thinking the same thing, that if we can knock that out, year by year, and take care of those small ticket items, that it would shrink this budget.
Anything you do would help, especially like I said, water penetration would help where we're at right now. There are some things in the budget that are, I will say, from our standpoint, right now, pie in the sky, and putting an elevator into the city building. That's $500,000. You've made reasonable accommodations for that. It's not the best, but that's something long term down the road that I wouldn't even think about that in terms of making those repairs right now. If you have someone with a broken leg or torn ACL and they got to get up and down as an employee, that's going to create some hardship. Trying to figure out how to make it work, but you could probably find a way to make that work. But at least you have a way for the public to get in and out and communicate and work with city staff under. But yes, a lot of the things here is about preventive maintenance, about doing the things in the right order and stopping the damage that's occurring every day that we don't have these building properly.
Is that what you, in your opinion, credit conditions of the building? There was no preventative maintenance, or not the necessary preventative maintenance over the years? Like, the pool, for example.
Right.
You had the same person overseeing the pool for 30 plus years. No one knew this was going on.
I would say,
or if someone knew about it, they just looked the other way.
and it could be whatever combination of items. It's basically the funding wasn't available, the funding wasn't requested. It was just, or someone not even knowing what to look for or know what the condition of the building was. I don't know when the city had a comprehensive review done of their buildings, but it was probably a long time ago. I'm just guessing at that. And I think, on a regular basis, whether it's someone from the city or someone the city hires to go out and just do a reassessment of where the buildings are and what improvements need to be made. If you look at the front of this report, we also even included some recommendations on annual budgets that you may include as ongoing maintenance. Some of those things you may not need this year. It may be a $30,000 roof in this building, but next year it might be a $300,000 roof that you need to carry over money to make repairs on. And that's part of, even with, if you look at, when the Ohio School Facilities Commission did their work and passed bonds for new schools, they required as part of that a maintenance bond being included in that, so you can make repairs once you have these big schools constructed. The city kind of needs to look at the same thing. It needs to be, have that in the budget annually to make repairs. And I think really preventive maintenance, long term, not one of those things you begin to cut out, but keep it in the budget every year is something that would eliminate this, long term for the city's general fund problem.
Yeah. Well, I think this is money well spent, personally. I don't know, and this is only my second year in the office, but, to have a plan on paper, have things addressed, issues like ADA, I know that's a hot topic, I know that's something that, cities should have, whether they implement it or not, there should be a plan on paper for that. Because, everything seems very well spelled out, I appreciate the time, the effort, and the staff took to put this together.
And Michelle spent a lot of time doing that, along with me, and another employee to go through that process.
I'm really concerned about when I heard about this stuff, safety, that there are, falling bricks. I mean, could we wait that long?
Well, as I think we said last time we met, the movement of the building and the settlement of that is not a critical concern. Of course, it's something that needs to be addressed, but it's probably been sinking since like the second week it was built. It's one of those things that takes time. We don't know whether a compaction factor. We don't know if it was old fill material underneath it from the houses that were demolished that were here that were now finally rotting up. Through the life of that, slowly been moving. But this is some of the movement we see in this building didn't happen overnight. It happened over years of the building being in place here. Our biggest concern is the roof to keep the water out of the building itself. The fire department has to deal with quite a bit of that coming in. And we need to keep the water out of the building so we don't run into other problems. The brick on the outside, that was really almost a design issue element where the water got in behind it and there was swelling, things like that. That can be, I think we have in there a budget $9,000. I think it's fairly easy to fix, or even put a temporary fix, remove the brick, put temporary flashing on it, so it's not falling off, and you're done. You at least have resolved that issue. But I think the biggest factor is, we have to look at it for the long term too. So if we do the roof now, we take care of the brick now, that's fine. That's taking care of one issue of this. In the long term, do we need to make the other repairs? Yes, we should, because you do see the gaps in certain parts of this building. We do have heavier fire equipment now sitting on in the truck bay there than what they had when they originally designed the building. So we can put the carbon reinforcing in different places and continue on our reinforcement. So those things should be done, but it's not something that came up yesterday. It's critical and needs to be done tomorrow.
Is that sidewalk doubling in?
The sidewall, if you look at it from the outside, you can't see any real movement on there. It's a minor degree of it actually moving upward and then moving away from the slab. So it's very, very minor, but you can see the cracks along the perimeter of the building.
When the very original blueprint that looked at it.
Yeah.
The reason I was asking is because I was doing some research on how it was done, and I'm kind of curious. And you were saying about the old building. Most of that was land back there. But what surprised me a lot was the pilasters that were used in the original building. When it's done.
Mm-hmm.
So they're really, I guess my curiosity is because this building is so long, how many beams and was that beam supported up, or was it just laid on all the pilasters?
It's all poured. The way that this building is all poured concrete with green.
Yeah, that's on the top.
And so they start pouring your foundation and then pour your column, and then they build trays and then pour the slab on top of it.
Correct.
So they're not just setting anything on, they're just pouring it on.
Yeah, but when they first started out, I noticed they actually have pilasters that they built in because it's so many if they're done. And the sidewalk kind of concerned me is the way it was done. And then the beams going straight across, how many different ones were there?
It's all poured uniformly, it's not a. It's
Right, that is the building was going on. But, that was the whole top floor. I'm talking about the actual bottom floor, the bottom basement, from like, it's day one, when the architect did it, and then it's no longer studied, it's no longer in this. But I'm talking about that actual side over there, as you could see them, it was coming down the road. These pilasters that have so many feet in the ground, they're not, they look like they were totally done out.
I don't think we've had the benefit of looking at those. We've looked at them later. But normally what you do is you have the flat put on there and then build up the pilasters with the reinforcement as part of that. The other way it also can be done is prior to that footer being put in place, the rest of them, you can drive piles down into the ground to help support that deeper. So I don't know that was just a straight footer. Is that correct?
Yeah.
What was your source for those?
Now the historical side.
And a little bit, yeah. Well, I think we all would.
Yeah.
We all would.
A strip footer around the perimeter.
Yeah, you can see where when you can see how they put the doors for the police station. But originally, on the resources, I guess the fire department was supposed to be actually downstairs, and the police department was supposed to be upstairs. Through the years and how it was amazing starting to read on this building. That's what it was.
That would have made a lot more sense, to be honest with
And
you.
that's what I'm saying with those heavy fire trucks on that wall, plus the water that's coming to these firemen, not just here, but the fire station out there too. I thought.
Yeah.
And the way the building was built, this is the whole, from one end to the other, is the whole foundation.
Right.
But the pilasters, it doesn't seem like in the middle, where they should have actually had an extra support underneath by those pilasters holding that beam. I don't really see that. And I'm surprised that the architect and, Gibson company that was.
And again, we would have to analyze that directly down to structure to see whether, because a lot of concrete construction that you do for systems like that depends a lot on the amount of steel reinforcement you put into the saddles. So there's a lot that goes on with that we have to be analyzed much more deeply than what we're able to go through here.
Yeah, looking at some of this, because I thought, this houses and stuff, I thought before done, that's not, it looks kind of like it's just flat ground before they even start using it as buildings.
The other hand, I noticed some was, originally crushed up and very soil boring. So even if there wasn't necessarily a house in a certain area, there could be consistent change in geology under the ground.
The houses were more close to the road, like this part,
And you agree.
and you know what, no, we're going back. But the way even the road, the original road is still kind of like that. It's on. It's the actual, the way it was dug and ported out. I mean, the building, you see where the opening made up the door. I was kind of surprised of them. I guess I was really surprised of why they did the fire truck downstairs, why that changed.
Well, I'm sure Mr. Zachanik and his colleagues will be looking at that, so.
We'll take a look and we'll take a look at those as well afterwards.
Yeah.
I don't think it has any real impact on what we're presenting here because while it's one of those things that we will look at in detail, I think our biggest concern really is that there has been movement with those quarters one way or the other, and it's about our resolution on how we would actually reinforce those to actually repair our house.
And the wall actually was doubling up like this.
Right.
And until the siding and everything was taken off, and you actually saw how the roof was cracking and fell apart. And then you had to rip everything down on the inside as well to actually see what was going on.
Yeah, sometimes it takes, destructive testing or a little more, cutting and researching into it to get a better idea what's there. But, from everything we've looked at, from what we have seen on, especially at the basement level and how that's transferred upward, you can see that there's been movement in the basement slab and that's continuing to the building. We just need to take a look at, the best way to actually make those repairs, and that's what we're doing in the budget. Again, a lot of the things that we have in the budget here, and we actually, at the odds earlier today to take a look at a few things within this program. when we look at a budget and present a number here, bidding is not a science, is what we told everyone. And you put numbers here that are as conservative as possible. You can get 3 different people to bid something, so we did on the roof over there. 2 of them were up here and 1 of them down here. It depends on who the subs are, the market conditions, how busy they are or aren't. So we try to be as conservative as we could here in cost. So these costs are what I would describe as a best professional guess, because they will change with what we have. But we contacted 1 or 2 service contractors who work do this type of work to get bunch of numbers from them as well. So we're not putting numbers on here that are kind of out of the blue. We do have an idea of what this is.
Can I ask you, you went through the process of evaluating the building, but I really appreciate the format by breaking it down to the phases that you do with 6 months and the budget for your involvement. Was there any thought that consolidation of space that was wasted didn't be part of day-to-day activity in Niles? I know that you talked about the 2 buildings that need to be demolished. And first thing I think is we can't afford to demolish them, but we can close them.
Right.
Is it a safety issue with the water department? Is it a safety issue where they shouldn't be operating within those if we decide that we're not going to invest money to correct it?
I would say we're not going to take money to correct it. We would like to relocate the water department on there. I think that would be a good there's just so much work to be done there. Having them stay in the building that's in that condition. We do have areas within, I think that we could look at and see how we could relocate different people or maybe departments within the city, but we would need to spend a little more time doing that because we don't have the exact program of each department. We know what area they take currently, but we don't necessarily know what they need. There's a difference there, and sometimes if you're given the space, you use the space, and whether it's the most efficient way, you end up putting storage in places that are very good office spaces is not the best way to do it, and so that would have to be something we would work with council and administration on, and what we might be able to do to make some suggestions on that.
It's just a way to save money, I think. If the vehicles being stored in that building are a primary use of the building, maybe we put up an 8-foot fence underneath the viaduct, and maybe have a built-in roof, a fenced-in area that still works and does what we need it to do, but we're not investing money in buildings.
Right, and
100 years old.
right, and a lot of transportation departments, things like that, do exactly that. Where there's a canopy over it, it covers the equipment, so it's not constantly covered in snow or whatever the case is. But it's not enclosed building. It's not heated. It's other than lighting that maybe runs for security. You're not spending the big dollars in what you need for a building. And certainly for a garage, for the most part, you don't need something like that.
We have to utilize that built-in viaduct.
Right.
Bridge as a roof.
Sure.
Okay.
My name's Natalie. I've been there and it's raining. And the backhoe, there's an electrical panel, and the water is coming in.
Pouring on the
A
panel.
couple of guys walked across and said, don't do that, because they could have gotten electrocuted.
And there's literally, if you look from the city building down, it's been parked a little bit, which is an improvement of where it used to be, but it's by no means effective. Right? It's just a building too much work right now.
Now, the other was coming from the station, fire station, up there, because the water.
Are there any other safety issues that you feel need to be addressed outside of the miles? What do you think? I mean, we're talking about safety with the water department. Any other things with the buildings that you would?
Yeah, the brick really is this building, right? The dollar item,
The head brick for
the head brick for 9,000, if the masons in, clean it up, they call it a day, right? That's really the only major safety thing that I would take a look at. Right. It's right up there at the top of the list.
Right.
And if we went ahead and, made the necessary repairs to the building, how, would that be enough to get us 10, 20, 30, 50 years? I mean,
We were talking about that earlier today. And, making the repairs that we need to here on this could extend the life of the building. We're talking 20 years, 25 redid the entire list here and did everything we said, because we can certainly get it up to 50 years or whatever, where people wouldn't be worried about it. As long as what we did tomorrow was repaired and maintained the day after that. You know, you can't do it once and then forget about it.
You don't feel that, like Barry said, and I know it was all throughout the report, having the department heads do a needs assessment of how much space they actually utilize within this building. Let's say they didn't use the police station, and we know they don't use that.
Right.
Okay? Right. So you're gonna cut that out.
Right.
But maybe some other rules, I don't know. Same with flags. We took that 1.2 million.
Right.
Put it into a new structure.
Right. And that's something you can look at. I think there was a little over 7,800 square feet, I think, is dedicated to fire in this building, and like 9,000, I think, dedicated to maybe the police, including jail. I mean, there's a lot there, especially when you look at the police station with that jail. Yes, that would certainly save money if you look at it from the standpoint. I think the problem is when you're looking at that is, when do you have the money to actually do that, get a new building, and, the timing that goes into that, and while you're trying to maintain this building as well. So I think you have to look at it from the standpoint of, are we going to make the repairs to this building, and that's a long-term goal, because, I don't know where you come up with, 4 million or 5 million or whatever it is to build a new building, right away, while you still have other repairs with all the other buildings. That's kind of the concern. So it's establishing your needs, how you might be able to consolidate and get rid of some of these buildings a little bit, and do the repairs you're going to need to, fire station, this building, the ones that are key priorities for the city, and then build up and make the other repairs slowly that are further down. I really think that's the way you can do it. Somehow, other monies become available that you can actually do something you'd be able to do a strong program on and combine different things for a much more efficient concept. Like I said, I would not recommend putting on some of these repairs.
Mr. Stekanik, our police chief has a question.
Sure.
Do you think the report that I took maybe inspired somewhere else? The windows on the south side of the wall, the first floor.
How you doing, Jeff?
Every time it rains, we flood, leak or something.
Okay.
And it floods that.
Okay.
Floods the.
Okay.
That's part of the.
That falls under the short-term budget. It's, I know that sort of fall under item number 12 and 13, where it's sort of covering, what you're talking about.
The steel exterior roof.
And 12 is, so exterior brick repair and flashing.
And
The flashing is kind of what we think the problem is. And
I think.
how many
higher
words you put in your little Excel spreadsheet to really describe everything to do, maybe it's sort of short.
Is there ways that be incorporated to the brick project immediate? Every time it rains, we flood it. Yeah, somebody's gonna fall eventually.
Right.
Be liability on the city.
And we can take a look at these individual items and
I
move,
would maybe wear
close
that.
them around a little bit. Yeah, I mean, it's basically looking at, what we saw when we were on the site on the particular day too. So if we were at the fire station and water was pouring in on one day and it was dry here, we weren't necessarily seeing the same thing.
And the second question, I see the replacement for the fire station for their driveway, station 8, or their parking lot here looked at, you have the drain from last week.
Saw that.
And on the west side lot, heaved up, the two parking spots are heaved up by about 3 feet.
No, that was not, the south side, so, I don't know it's up here on the north side where you could theoretically have no pedestrian walk, sidewalk.
We have cones out now where the.
Yeah, I saw that.
Drain flat, it flows, sideways, you're getting water.
That's a new development since I reviewed the building, one of the earlier buildings that I said, so, that was not that big.
We'd be remiss about.
Right.
Doing this
There's
without.
two issues with this.
Right.
Right.
And again, that comes down to exactly the thing we're talking about. This is, like we said, a snapshot in time when we look at those buildings, and 6 months later, this could all be very different. And that's kind of an example of it, where, a chief of your person wasn't there, and now it's the same
That's kind of true.
Can our guys do that? Can our guys do that too? He's talking about.
I know where, we came out, we put the grade stack on, but I think something else is going on next to the plant, another paving, right?
Somehow it's walking up on the west side there, across the or around.
Also, when you're talking about the extra space, like the jail or whatever might be, clean it up like 20-some years ago, we used a lot of this stuff. So we wouldn't be using anything as a backup, and so computers and everything requiring more room, and we're not going to lose it, obviously.
No. I mean, like the bill itself, we actually talked about, what that could be used for, but the problem is, when we look at something like that, is the flexibility in terms of, what it would take us to actually reconfigure that. But anything that you actually have now with the computers and things like that would all remain as is. Our biggest thing is to look at the function of the space and what you're using it for. Sometimes it's, like I said, people will have the space available and will make it, use it for whatever they find the need for, and it may not be the most efficient use of space. So, that's our biggest concern. How can we actually make the city more efficient in terms of what we use I guess that addressed your question. Maybe.
Anything else?
No, I mean, we like I said, we try to put it in every different way that we possibly could combine this, so you can look at it and see what buildings are good, what buildings are bad, and what buildings are indifferent. On the good side, we can say that it's really, with the exception of 2 grab bars at the wellness center, we don't have to do anything there. I mean, and those are just recent code changes to bringing up the code, so it is good. You're fine with that. In the restrooms, yeah, they now require some vertical grab bars other than just the horizontal. Other than that, there's no improvement there. So that's and just recently there was some roof leaks there that are covered by warranty, so that's taken care of. Okay. But then we do have buildings that are really just need a lot of care and attention and money. And I think when we look at it, I mean, the biggest problem I think we have here is we all know that what we're saying here in terms of the cost is that I think we're finding it hard to suggest anything to make any new building unless it's something minor, like putting some type of canopy out if we need to, or fencing or things like that to keep the water department equipment. I don't think we have the funds available to do things to this extent. And I may be wrong in that, but that's just my personal perspective. So I think what we have to look at is the priority in terms of how we spend our money effectively and efficiently, making it work. And so some of the things that are listed here and says, you spend this many dollars and this much on different parts of the Waddell pool. Well, just take that out entirely, cross that out and put it on the side and go 5 years down the road or something, then you can reevaluate. Or if you want to tear the building down now and do something else there,
I have to agree.
then tear it down.
I have to agree. That should have been done when they took the other pool out and put this one in. That's why I said I'm going to check on that. I don't think all those pipes were ran underneath when they put this pool in. The pool house, yes, they had everything in there so much, but I don't remember all that being done.
So there's still question marks, but yeah. So
It has to go.
Yeah.
I like to see it tied into the
Well, there's a lot of things we all like to see. Any other questions? Any other questions? Remember anybody? Yes, Steve.
Mayor.
Not me, him.
Have you been formulating a plan for the transition of the water department people into that building?
We're meeting with the
the state auditors and our city auditor on Friday to start presenting ideas, and most of the stuff will be presented publicly to city council to engage a plan on how you guys want to come up with the funding to do a lot of it.
Gotta be another plan. It is my, I've shared with my colleagues, it's my strong recommendation that we bring a concerned group of citizens forward and involve them in this process. Their thoughts and ideas, taxpayers, they're going to talk about. So it would be my hope that moving forward, we create sort of gas task force, whatever you want to name it, and give them this, dig in, and be partners with them. That's a great idea. Yeah, we gotta do it right away. We gotta be on our plan. Okay? So congratulations. I like that idea. I hope others do too. Share this feeling. Again, I know that, going back to the water department, I showed combined cost approximately $232,000. Do you have any estimate of what it would cost to demolish that building?
Yeah, that's in the report. If you have a full report, at the end of it, the summary section, it has the, estimated cost, to demolish the building of $150,000.
But that $150,000 is in addition to an anticipated cost of about $170,000 of assessment. So that's not, that's just the cost of demolition after the remediation. Yeah, you're still looking at, you're looking at the abatement, whether you use the building or don't use the building. It should be reduced right now. Well, now it all has to be confirmed through testing. Every sign that we have that we're looking at the piping and the joints and indicates there's probably a test. If that is the case, you're looking at $170,000 cost.
Are those costs for remediation included in these repair?
That's listed actually in here.
So if I'm getting my numbers right, it would cost us $230,000 to fix it and $320,000 to demolish it.
Those are the critical. That's just to get a new roof on it so that you don't have water pouring down into your electrical panel.
Right.
That's not.
That's just that.
Right.
So in
Just the
the
critical.
summary section, the total improvement would be $780,000.
$700,800.
Question of your information testing department, are there grant money available for communities who are seeking to improve their facilities by getting rid of antiquated buildings, but asbestos is going to double? Are there any state funds available to communities?
There's potentially, we talk about it, especially in the Niles, the water department, potentially because they have a lot of agencies with it, it could fall under some type of brownfield consideration, so there may be either low interest or grants available or something like that. There's potentially things available for buildings like this related to the court that we have to investigate. But a lot of the grants at the state level have gone away. There's loans that you can probably get to a certain degree, but a lot of the grants have just disappeared.
Any other comments or questions? All right, Mr. Skanik,
Thank you.
thank you very much. We appreciate it.
Pardon?
That's, one's yours and one's yours, but yours on your seat.
Oh, yeah, will you please? Thank you.
Yeah.
Do we?
Oh, you need your coffee?
Oh, I'll get it, I'll get it.
Are you sure?
What? What? There was some construction that went on there. They had it on the phone. Yeah. So, it would have to be from there.
I don't know. I thought he was starting at 6, but he was doing it early. So he was starting at 6 o'clock. I put the signs up.
Hey, Doc. We on YouTube right
now.
Send me that link. No, I never met a beach that places that good stuff. Just have to have it. You know what? I mean, you do now, but... Right! Okay, thank you. Yeah, the minutes from this last meeting. Oh, that was the last case.
Yeah, that was my thing. That was the 30th.
My email the other day, Bob.
I didn't check my email yet.
I sent an email about coming up with some sort of plan that you would recently done for the Board of Education building.
I'll check it when I go home.
I contacted the police chief and he's like, hey, Bob just said for I have it with me. Crisis management plan.
Yeah. Who needs one?
City.
I asked the fire chief. Ask him what I've been asking for. Ask him. Show it to him. Say, didn't Bob ask him? Don't you remember when I asked him that? Yeah. They think I would. They do. I really think they do. I didn't expect it. I'm Bobby. Always have been, always will be. Did you guys get to Clay Street? I see she's here. On the water. The lady with the water, she's back. I see her. She just walked in. Go run over to Mr. Andy's been there. All right.
Oh, yeah. The house 2 feet away. It's one of those things where you spend $5,000 on streets and have issues.
What's the cost of it? Columbia DM.
Andy, I think, took the water out there. I was going to take the water out there to get it.
Ready? Ready? You ready? All right, so the pledge and invocation.
To the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Together, the city is mindful of our civic responsibility, and which they acknowledge their place in the world. In the name we pray. Amen. Clerk, please call the roll.
Mr. Pavlik?
Here.
Mr. Lasik?
Here.
Mr. McNaughton?
Here.
Mr. Steffi?
Here.
Ms. Marquez? Here. Mr. McCavitt?
Here.
Mr. Casano? Mr. Marino?
Here, before we begin the meeting, we are testing this evening a live stream of our council meetings. Gary. The camera's up here. Mr. Dibble is working through this. It is our hope to get this up and running as quickly as possible so that folks can see the meetings in its entirety and what transpires unedited, unfiltered, just as it occurs. So that's what this little thing up here is. So I just wanted to make sure everybody's aware that this is being recorded tonight. I don't know what Dibble's doing with it, but it's in beta right now. So we are listening, believe it or not, to what you're telling us, that you want these things done, and we are working judiciously to get them accomplished. Mr. Papel.
Mr. Chairman, I want to make a motion just for this evening that we change the order of the agenda so that the reading of the ordinances is first. Because I have somewhere to go this evening, I don't want to miss the vote.
So might I ask that we amend the agenda to include public remarks and then agenda items. So is there a second? Is that all right, Steve? So we got public remarks. Seconded by Steffi. All in favor, signify by aye. Opposed? Motion carries. So public remarks will be right now, and then we'll go vote on the agenda. Anyone wish to address council this evening? Ralph, come forward, state your name and address for the record. Ralph, you have to come up to the... How you doing, my friend?
Ralph Cartino, 26 Belmont Avenue, Niles, Ohio. I know they got 5 minutes. For all of you in here that know that I have multiple myeloma cancer, I appreciate you calling me with your prayers. And I'm here to thank Jeff Crowley. I have a house behind me at 21 Fulton. Got a swimming pool. They're starting to put tires back there. It's a mess. Grass is this high. Jeff's doing his best. Some bank in California has it, and they won't meet with him. And I keep hearing, and not just him, Niles has no money. I got cancer. I can't afford to get bit by a mosquito. I've let that place go for a couple of years now, okay? I can't go hunting. I can't go to the woods. I can't break a bone. I can't do nothing. I'm crippled. I should be in a wheelchair. If they wouldn't have caught my cancer in my spine, it was 10% away from breaking, okay? So I'm only here to try to get that people. I don't care what happens in my neighborhood anymore, except in my surrounding neighborhood.
Jeff, I saw the sheriff was in town today cutting grass. Can't you put that on the list?
It is. Yeah, he's got it. All right. You know, the young man needs help. You know what I mean? We have council people. Do they go around taking pictures, showing him, helping him, say, hey, look on this house? You know, I mean, I think that's what a council person's supposed to do, help the young man out. I took 6 coons out of the house next to me, that purple house, before F&K cleaned it all up. I called. Probably rats and coons and possums and, you know what I mean, Bobby? I don't want to jump the fence and punch a hole in that pool.
Well,
regarding
Ralph, regarding Mr. Crowley, or
yeah,
the position that he sits in.
He's doing super good.
Well, council and the administration did address that by making that position full-time.
I know. Well, it's full time now.
It's housing and zoning,
Okay.
and he is busy. Not minimizing, but, you know, we're trying to address things as best we can.
I know you are.
Regarding, you know, going through town and looking at things and sending text messages, I know Jeff regrets when he sees my number pop up on his phone, because I do. And I know my colleagues do as well.
Oh, I know. I'm still good. I haven't been here meeting because I've been down.
Yeah.
Okay, so I will be back.
Well, it's good to see you, my friend. Anyone else? Anyone else? Mrs. Stahl, and then we'll get you, Mr. Joseph.
I just wondered what was going on. I see I got a little blue flag in the yard, but nobody's called back, knocked at the door, said anything.
Go ahead, Andy.
We're, myself and Brian Parent, yesterday, I did, found we hydrated your, dog house up in the line mark, we haven't done it, was talked to your neighbor, she was outside, did tell us she was not having any issues at this time. Went in, watched the hydrant there yesterday. Honestly, and I know you're at the end, that's what I have right now. And I didn't have your number yet, I'm hoping to get the number, but here, please make sure you have it with really, and I'll come along with the family, I'll want to make that happen.
So great. What's your name?
Well, I need to move that.
Okay.
So we will get there.
Thanks, Mr. Stahl. Mr. Joseph?
I have some, this is kind of old topic that I want to bring up.
Mr. Joseph, we need your name and address.
Oh, I'm sorry. Mark Joseph, 1227 North Road, Niles, Ohio. This is some old news that I heard about. A meeting a while ago, city council, and I heard this from a couple of taxpayers, residents, that city council addressed the attending taxpayers, and I'm going to paraphrase a little bit, so I apologize. The statement was, why do you come to this meeting? Now, I was surprised when I heard that from 2 different people that it was said in this council meeting. And so at first I was surprised. And then I thought about it, and I have plenty of time to think. My disability, it allows me to think a lot. So I was surprised, and then the more I thought about it,
the more I realized it was a really good question. Why do I come to these meetings? Is it because I don't have a life and this is the only way to socialize? No. Is it because I don't have any friends and it's the only way to mix with other people? No. It's because I care about this city. And the more I think about it, why do you not know why I'm here? Why do you ask that question? I know there's a council person here that knows exactly why I'm here. That person connects with their ward every month. They inform the members of the ward when the meeting is, the time, location, all that. And then if that person doesn't have a ride or can't get there, they make every possible accommodation to get that person at that meeting. And the more I thought about it, the more I realized I should ask the question. Why do you come to this?
Who said that anyway?
I'm not bringing that up. That's not,
It was never said.
it was said.
Do you have a question, Mr. Joseph, or?
No, I'm sorry, sir. I just wanted to back that up a little bit. Okay. And once again, I apologize if I phrased the term incorrectly, but I was told by two different people that are not associated with each other. So, Mr. Moreno,
Yes, sir.
here's my question. Is it possible to make it mandatory that each city council member hold a block watch once a month?
No.
And
You asked the question,
I
answer
had
is
two
no.
other questions to go.
Well, go to the next one. First
Well,
one
no, they're
answer.
associated with
Okay,
that.
go ahead.
All right, so you kind of shot a hole in my boat.
Go ahead, that's all right.
I believe if you really want to know why we're here, you need to start asking the question, what is truly bothering your constituents? And I don't hear that. I understand that you may think some of this is just white noise, and you get it twice a month for about a half hour. I get it. I understand. But the people behind me, once they figure out how to organize and have a common goal, then you're going to realize why they come to this meeting. Mr. Marino, once again, thank you for your time.
Pleasure.
And
Thanks, Mr. Joseph. Anyone else wish to address council? Anyone else? In the opinion of the chair, there being none, would the clerk please present tonight's legislation?
Amended draft number 66-17 to brought to the floor for the second time, an ordinance amending codified ordinance number 501.14, abatement of criminal activity.
President, I'd like to make a motion to suspend that.
Moved by Pizzano, seconded by Paplas for suspension. Questions or comments?
Mr. President, I'd like to personally thank, and also my colleagues, to thank Mr. Slaughter for attending that meeting last Wednesday, for clarifying the things up to us, and also Mr. Crowley and Mr. Rigorito for the, thank you again.
Call roll for suspension, please.
Mr. Paplas?
yes.
Mr. Lastik?
Yes.
Mr. McNaughton?
Yes.
Mr. Steffi?
Yes.
Ms. Marquez?
Yes.
Mr. McKevitt?
Yes.
Mr. Kazana?
Yes.
7 yeas, 0 nays.
Second.
Moved by Pizzano, seconded by Paplas for adoption. Questions or comments? Call roll, please.
Mr. Paplas?
Yes.
Mr. Lastik?
Yes.
Mr. McNaughton?
Yes.
Mr. Steffi?
Yes.
Ms. Marquez?
Yes.
Mr. McKevitt?
Yes.
Mr. Kazana? 7 yeas, 0 nays.
Draft 66-17 has been adopted under suspension of rules. The clerk please present the next draft.
Amended draft number 67-17 to brought to the floor for the second time, an ordinance amending codified ordinance number 1402.10, dwelling permit.
Also like to suspend the rules, Mr. President.
Moved by Pizzano, seconded by Marquez. Questions or comments? Call the roll, please.
Mr. Kaplan?
Yes.
Mr. Lastic?
Yes.
Mr. McNaughton?
Yes.
Mr. Duffy? Ms. Marquez? Mr. McCovich? Mr. Pagano? 7 yeas, 0 nays.
Move for adoption.
Moved by Paplas, seconded by Lastic for adoption. Questions or comments? Call the roll, please.
Mr. Kaplan?
Yes.
Mr. Lastic? Mr. McNaughton?
Yes.
Mr. Duffy?
Yes.
Ms. Marquez? Mr. McCovich?
Yes.
Mr. Pagano?
Yes.
7 yeas, 0 nays.
Draft 67-17 has been adopted under suspension. Here, will clerk please present the next draft?
Draft number 75-17 be brought to the floor for the first time, a resolution authorizing quarterly cash transfers and declaring an emergency.
Move for suspension.
Moved by Steffi, seconded by Paplas for suspension. Questions or comments?
These are just for, transfers for the police department.
Call the roll, please.
Mr. Paplas?
Yes.
Mr. Lastic?
Yes.
Mr. McNaughton?
Yes.
Mr. Steffi?
Yes.
Ms. Marquez? Mr. McCovich? Mr. Pagano? 7 yeas, 0 nays.
Move for adoption. Second.
Moved by Lastic, seconded by Paplas for adoption. Questions or comments? Call the roll, please.
Mr. Paplas?
Yes.
Mr. Lastic?
Yes.
Mr. McNaughton?
Yes.
Mr. Steffi?
Yes.
Ms. Marquez? Mr. McCovich?
Yes.
Mr. Pagano? 7 yeas, 0 nays.
75-17 has been adopted under suspension. Here, rules. Clerk, please present the next draft.
Draft number 76-17 be brought to the floor for the first time, an ordinance authorizing the service director to enter into contract with the state purchasing program for the purchase of utility vehicles for the light department and declaring an emergency.
Move to suspend. Second.
Moved by Steffi, seconded by Paplas for suspension. Questions or comments?
Quick comment. Last year we purchased 2 new bucket trucks, and if this goes through today, we're going to be purchasing a few other ones. This goes through, your department should be pretty good with new vehicles.
Right, he will have all vehicles in our department. That's for the whole big stuff. Okay. That's all we have left. Is that what we have to do?
Ford F-20 with no tax.
That is replacement for E12, which are landscaper, yellow label, the whole thing. No, just know that.
That'll be used year-round.
Yeah.
Call the roll for suspension, please.
Mr. Paplas?
Yes.
Mr. Lastic?
Yes.
Mr. McNaughton?
Yes.
Mr. Steffi?
Yes.
Ms. Marquez? Mr. McCovich?
Yes.
Mr. Pagano? 7 yeas, 0 nays.
Move for adoption.
Moved by Paplas, seconded by Lastic for adoption. Questions or comments? Call the roll, please.
Mr. Paplas?
Yes.
Mr. Lastic?
Yes.
Mr. McNaughton?
Yes.
Mr. Steffi?
Yes.
Ms. Marquez? Mr. McCovich?
Yes.
Mr. Pagano?
Yes.
7 yeas, 0 nays.
Draft 76-17 has been adopted under suspension. Rules. Clerk, please present the last draft.
Draft number 77-17 be brought to the floor for the first time, an ordinance amending section 1511.01, 1511.05, and adding section 1511.06 to the fire prevention code and declaring an emergency.
Mr. President, I'd like to suspend the rules on it.
Moved by Pisano, seconded by Minkevich for suspension. Questions or comments?
President of the public, the fire chief wanted to change some language in open fire, especially the time frame that you can have it, the distance from structures, and the size of open fire. Thanks, Chief.
Call the roll for suspension, please.
Mr. Paplas?
Yes.
Mr. Lastic?
Yes.
Mr. McNaughton?
Yes.
Mr. Steffi?
Yes.
Ms. Marquez? Mr. McCovich?
Yes.
Mr. Pagano? 7 yeas, 0 nays.
Moved by Pisano, seconded by Paplas for adoption. Questions or comments? Call the roll, please.
Mr. Paplas?
Yes.
Mr. Lastic?
Yes.
Mr. McNaughton?
Yes.
Mr. Steffi? Ms. Marquez? Mr. McCovich?
Yes.
Mr. Pagano? 7 yeas, 0 nays.
Draft has been adopted under suspension of rules. Before we go into acceptance of minutes, I would ask the council reconsider the reciprocity ordinance And I want to turn it over to our law director to explain why sponsorship at the next council meeting and passage will be permissible. Terry, did you want to?
Yes. As you know, our reciprocity was not changed with the change of our income tax. We talked about changing that reciprocity issue. There was concern because it may affect members of the council themselves that received a written opinion from the Ethics Commission that there is no restriction. You all are permitted to vote on the reciprocity issue about the ethic violations and violations of conflict of interest. So that can be presented to council if someone wishes. If there's a sponsor for that legislation. And my office will have it prepared for the next meeting. Someone on the committee wants to sponsor finances. Make sure it's ready for the next council.
We have to get that done because our audits are starting and it's causing issues.
Now it's clear, so.
Yeah. The next thing is the hiring policy. Council, I would hope, would have some resolution on where you're going with this relative to amending that policy. I know there were two proposals presented by the law director. The issue is becoming that we are experiencing vacancies. We're all aware of the tree trimming department, which is non-existent at this particular moment in time. We're now beginning to experience trouble or issues in our wastewater treatment plant with retirement and vacancies. So we still have to perform the people's business relative to filling positions. So it will be my hope that there's resolution before the next council meeting, if not sooner, in providing administration with direction to get this moving, because it can't lay and wait any longer.
I agree with you 100%. It was never meant to become cumbersome or invade or micromanage the department. It's my position, we talked at the last finance committee meeting, at looking at the budget semi-annually, so that we have an opportunity to see who is underperforming, overperforming, where we're at, capital assets, dividing it to every 6 months, and that would include the ability to fund or defund jobs at that time. The intent was for transparency and to make sure that every person that applied for the job had the equal opportunity to be hired by the city of Niles. We have had, with any new system, we've had problems, but the last thing we're going to do is tie the hands of management in the city so that they can't have employees there do the job that we all expect them to do. So hopefully that I'm going to schedule a finance meeting. I'll let you know within the next 24 hours when that is. Hopefully by that time we can resolve it, amend it so that it makes it easier moving forward.
Thanks, Steve. I just wanted to hang around to hear this. So let the record reflect that let the record reflect council is excusing Mr. Pappas for a prior commitment.
Mr. President, do we have, on your administration, if you know that somebody is going to retire, is there a hiring practice maybe they come in 2 months or 3 months before that individual leaves? I mean, I guess if they're not there to train them, I guess it's not my question.
Well, the way it is now, we can't even bid without a resolution from council. So even if we wanted to bid to make arrangements to allow somebody to come in and train, we can't. That's what we're getting into. We have a retirement coming up in June, and then somebody else is looking at bidding out, which will leave 2 openings. We know that another gentleman is expecting a child, so we'll have 3 openings in one department. And I would love to post at least 1 job tomorrow, but we just found out past the deadline for some of it, so we're in this catch-22. We can't bid the job because we need legislation. So
Very ably described why we did this. It was, as a position becomes vacant within a department, that could be posted, and the union positions bid, and through the bidding process, fill the position. And then at the entry level, because people were getting hired, and we don't need to relive that history, people just appeared before deadlines or before postings, and it was our intent, and I had a hand in this, so that's why I'm trying to clean up some of our faux pas, because when I make a mistake, I readily admit it. And this is not the desired intent of this ordinance, is to micromanage departments to this degree. So it was to allow movement within the workforce. With that said, it was also the intent to allow council to be fully informed of when vacancies occurred and how people were moving through, and if council so desired, to look at the worthiness of a position and make a determination, but not to impede the ability of us to fill positions in critical positions. You know, the wastewater treatment plant, we have EPA mandates, et cetera. You know, the tree trimming department, that's a dangerous job. Dangerous. You know, imagine holding a chainsaw for 8 hours and cutting trees. I couldn't hold it for 10 minutes, let alone an hour. So, you know, to throw people off or whatnot. So I feel partly responsible for this and feel compelled to help move this process along to help clean it up. So, Stephen, I interrupted you. I apologize.
With the, you know, when we know there's going to be retirement, that's in writing, correct? If you have that in writing, you know, today, and this person says they're going to retire a month, 2 months down the road, then the request should come to council sooner rather than later.
That retirement is until the end of June, so we would have had one request for the beginning of June. The other two just came aware of, so we're going to have 3 openings in June. Still can't bid until we get permission.
You just found out that they were retired. They just submitted a letter.
For one, the other 2 openings that'll open in that same department in June, we just became aware of.
Stephen, they've known that retirement coming for a long time. We saw the pictures of the celebrating his retirement. So let's be fully transparent here.
Well,
we've known for a long time that Mr. Shirazi was retiring. The case in point is we know those things are occurring. What needs to happen is there needs to be conferring with council, not waiting until the last minute and dropping a bag of you-know-what in everybody's lap. So that's going to require some work on the part of council, and there might need to be more meetings, committee meetings scheduled on a regular basis, whereby, and I said this before, when I was finance chairman, we had a meeting every other Wednesday. When Tom was the finance chairman, I followed Tom. He's the one that started the finance meetings every other Wednesday. It was the mayor that started that. You know, I don't want to tell council how to do its business. I'm strongly encouraged that might become the norm so that when the administration has these things coming down the pipe, they can communicate with council so everybody's fully informed. Whoever shows up, shows up. Whoever doesn't, doesn't. But at least there's an effort on both parts to keep government functioning efficiently.
I think we, and Andy might have to correct me if I'm wrong, I think it was at least maybe 2 weeks ago, we sent the first email, it might even have been 3 weeks ago, requesting that first position be looked at, and to look at, what did you call it, something in training?
We talked about potentially trying to create an operator training position, which is a labor that is committed to move up so that we don't have this lag with our shifts to be covered. If we possibly, we haven't done this snag there, but there's individual person's job. So, you know, we're next to retiring, we're going to go back and transfer out. We do have that, we might do that today. We figure something out for someone. We're not having to hire somebody, we're going to have to cover the position. That's what it is. And that's what we're going on.
Sure, yeah.
What is exasperating part of that process is if somebody falls into a different position, they have 30 days that they can decide to go back, and that position can't be filled in the department they were in until after that 30 days. So that's not 30 consecutive, that's 30 business days, which translates to about 6 weeks. So when you have somebody leave the sewer department and they go to become an auditor, that position in the sewer department, although funded, cannot be filled until after the expiration of that 30-day process. So that's something I was unaware of very recently, and that helps to slow the process.
Well,
Because of the collective bargaining.
yeah, it's in the agreement. I would fill the job. If it's desperately needed to be perfectly honest with you, Barry, I'd fill it. And if somebody bids back, guess what? You're bumping out too. And so, you know what? The contracts go both ways. if we're gonna go work rules, then you know what, then when we need an operator or whatever, you fill it because it's a needed job down there, and we move on. And everybody in the bargaining unit understands the rules. And we do what we gotta do. Andy, regarding your comments on cross-training or whatnot, or growing our own, you know my viewpoint on that. I was one of the individuals holding up the lab technician because I wanted a class 3. And the goal was, okay, the mayor was on sick leave when this occurred. We'll fill the position with our own, with the understanding that employee aspire to the class 3, and we begin to grow our own, so that folks know there's opportunities for promotion within the department. If that's the philosophy, I can't imagine anybody in this room being opposed to that. But on the flip side of that, if that individual does not fulfill the employment obligations for the position, there can't be, well, we're going to put you over here, wink, wink, wink. We're going to do this or that. Not that that happens, because that absolutely does happen. And then he could go the other way. So.
Then we put somebody from the labor pool in that guy takes a job for 30 days. You know?
This is pretty sophisticated stuff down there, huh?
No, not the original job that somebody bumped into. Like Bob said, we should hire, you know, we should get somebody in the right way. And we take them from every couple of days from the labor pool, put them in there, cover what we need.
No, these jobs at the treatment plant, they're all certified technicians. Andy can explain more. These are not.
This isn't somebody that wanted, nothing against just the way a labor might clean truck one day, mow grass the next day, might sidewalks, whatever. We guys understand the technology of the plant. There's also people that have shifts. That most of
We're low now.
So I'm not talking about that. Fill that job, all whoever needs. But whoever came somewhere to take that job, his job is over. We're not filling that job for 30 days. Why can't we just pay the labor pool guy? Not talking about that job.
I see what you're saying. I'm sorry, Barry. When we get to the lower jobs, yeah, we'll make do. We'll pull people wherever.
Instead of waiting 30 days, we need to get somebody cut grass in December.
Correct. Yeah. I'm sorry. I thought you were talking about those. No, in the lower ones, we'll make do. We'll pull where we have to until it trickles down.
So, Andy.
It is my understanding, what your client told me, is the gentleman that is transferring out is willing to sign on saying, I'm not coming back.
That's a collective bargaining agreement. That would have to be between the service director and AFSCME.
So if he could do that, if he would willing to do that, then we could fill up right away as well.
So long as, you know, I don't want to get into collective bargaining here, because this is the venue. That would be between the union officials and the administration to make accommodations for that, Mr. President. Mr. Swager?
You could always have the council declare the position is necessary, so that in those 30 days that they can be posted without waiting for council. So even though he's got those 30 days to come back, you guys can approve the position before that. It's not posted until those 30 days. It will speed the process up, because like you get right now, if Mr. Strady finds out today, our next meeting isn't for another 2 weeks. Nothing can be done for those 2 weeks. But if you approve it in advance, then in those 2 weeks, you can at least get ready to post it when the time comes. So the council doesn't have to wait till the 30 days.
Correct. So, all right, so the next meeting will rectify this and the rest of the process. I appreciate council's indulgence. We had the meeting minutes of your previous council meeting before you. Council's pleasure. Moved by Steffi, seconded by Marquez. Questions or comments? All in favor signify by aye. Opposed, motion carries. Reports and communications of council.
First, a letter from Trumbull County Engineer Randy Smith addressed to Mayor Thomas Carnecchia regarding Council of Government. Dear community leader, during the Trumbull County Engineers Dinner on April 26, 2017, the topic of forming a Council of Government was brought to light and discussed. There appears to be strong support from the township, cities, and villages to engage in further discussion regarding the potential establishment of Council of Government. Our office is facilitating the coordination of these meetings The following meeting dates and times have been scheduled to accommodate those who are interested in attending. Date Tuesday, May 23rd, 2017, at 11 o'clock a.m. Location, Trumbull County Commissioner's Hearing Room, County Administration Building, 160 High Street Northwest, Warren, Ohio, 44481. Date Wednesday, May 24th, 2017, 6:30 p.m. Location, Trumbull County Agricultural and Family Education Center, 520 West Main Street, Portland, Ohio, 44410. It is our sincere hope to see you at one of these meetings as we move forward on this important subject matter, especially Randy Smith, Trumbull County.
Motion accepted. Moved by Steffi, seconded by McNaught. Questions or comments? When I first came on council, there was a COG in the county, and there was a council representative. Y'all can go, or you can pick one to represent council, and I'm sure Ed's going to represent the administration. But we have had members of council serve as a representative on the COG. So as this begins to take shape, Barry, you'll have to think about that for next term if we're involved in this, because there needs to be a representative from council affiliated with this. All in favor signify by aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries.
Next, statement of cash from revenue and expense from the auditor's office through April 2017.
Move that we accept the budget on file.
Moved by Steffi, seconded by McNaughton. Questions or comments? All in favor signify by aye. Opposed, motion carries.
Last, overtime report for the city through April 2017 from the service director.
Could I ask, Mr. Griffin, I appreciate you providing this. Is there a way to show it versus last year?
The, last year's is not in the same format, it's just a gigantic spreadsheet. I think I did print it out the last month's meeting and handed it out.
Okay, I just think it's easier to read. Exactly what you're.
I can, it's the same sheet, I can reprint it again and give it to you.
Or email, either way.
I can email it for sure.
Okay, I appreciate it.
All in favor signify by aye. Oh, I'm sorry. You want to ask something?
So looks, this month higher than last month. 25,000 for the light department. Is that because of the lake?
I think some of that's probably due to, I think we had 2 big storms. You're shaking your head, no? We didn't have,
I don't think that's true.
yeah.
Yes. That's your total for the year, just total for April, 45, or, I'm sorry, light department overtime, 25,000. That's total. Oh, that's not.
Year to date. I think overtime in the light department, I believe I was told today, is down over $10,000 for the year.
Is there a way to look at it monthly? Departmental wise, look at.
I'd have to ask my counterpart in the auditor's office.
I can generate a report that'll show it monthly.
I can't remember ever seeing zero fire. Clearly, the firefighters not more paying off.
Any other comments?
Right.
Oh,
And that doesn't make sense because fire had overtime in the previous year. So that would be an ongoing. Right.
John, did you generate this report or did this come?
This was each department's monthly,
Stephen, hang on a second. John, did you,
I'll have to look at it.
who generated the report? I know, who generated the report? It's the auditor's office, so this came from the auditor's office. Well, then it's right. Came out of the auditor's office, it's right.
Well, what they, look,
There's no date on here, I'm not going to give you the time. Double check it.
I was under the impression when I asked the former service director, generate this, he was gonna do it per month, per department. So we'll be able to compare how much overtime is in January, how much is in February, how much is in March, April, May. So,
It does have on the bottom.
I hear, because our auditor is not comfortable discussing, let him go back, revisit the form. If you have any questions between now and then, John's always in the office, call him.
I just, well, for these reports, I request them out of the auditor's office, so that way the numbers are true and factual, and you're not getting,
definitely.
you know, so.
That's what we want. I agree with Steve, but I don't want to see them, you know, so if in fact the Lake Department had, and I'm not saying, if in fact it's 25,000 this month, and there was only 10,000 last month, then the reason it doubled. And that's wrong.
I think,
Monitor spending, overtime spending.
agreed. Let's let John, since he hasn't had an opportunity to look at this. We have to accept this though, because it was presented at a public meeting, so. All in favor, signify by aye.
Aye.
I need a motion. Linda, Barry,
make motion.
yeah, Linda, we'll attach it to her. All in favor, signify by aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries. Concludes that portion of the business. Committee reports, are there any committee reports this evening? There being no committee reports, the last part of the agenda is miscellaneous remarks. I have none. Mayor, any comment?
Nothing, thank you.
Mr. Service Director?
I sent an email to some of you, there was a, on Shaw Avenue, I don't know if we can schedule something.
Yeah, would that in fact go under public grounds? Streets?
Just for paving up in the condo up at the top again?
This would be a.
Yeah,
Come back again.
Mr. President, this has come back again. They have now, they've talked with Mr. Minkiewicz. They're now paving or moving towards paving, and they want to find out what they have to do to help their association out. And I think everybody here knows the story. I don't know where to send them except to start with the committee meeting and have it start there. Whatever is going to have to be done.
Oh, it would be your committee, Linda, with Kevin and the service director. If it's streets, Kevin, I want you involved. You're in the engineering office. So that's who it would be. So, Linda, I would appreciate if you would coordinate with Mr. Stredney to get a meeting scheduled, notify council, make sure that Mr. Robertson's available to attend that meeting with the residents up there.
And the issue is not so much the city anymore paving the street. That association, from what I was told, raised the money to do their own street as well as their private driveway or circle. And they're interested in knowing the process they have to take to dedicate that road.
John, 46, all the way to the end.
Up in the top there.
They're not doing the entire road. They're doing the
Right there, the condos in.
all the way to the top. And so,
So if we're going to accept it, and we've learned our lesson, we've been here so long, we want to make sure that it conforms to everything that's required in accepting a street, Kevin. So we just want to make sure it conforms to what.
So before, I don't know if you want to reach out to her, before they do that, maybe have them consult with Kevin so he can run down the city specifications for street research. If they want to dedicate that.
That'll be a problem.
We just make you put street curbs and sidewalks, Jerry. Okay. Anything else then?
No, that's all, Mr. President.
Chief?
Yes, the, four, the last two rounds dropped, round run. People have all,
Great, thanks. Chief?
A couple things, yeah, we have, through the hiring process, it's going medical and stuff last year, not just a matter of getting report from, stress test. Those people are good, we should have them on the program once a week. That's one of the replacements from the 10 months when we retired. Talk to Andy. Probably, as soon as we get a few things done in our department, we're gonna start flushing out, starting next week. Looks like we'll do a couple days of it and then make sure that everything's going good or if there's anything that happens. We'll start flushing.
Chief, can I ask you, you, will have a list of people on the list of tested and you need more testing.
Okay.
Your situation, Chief,
we can talk to our list.
and then it's 20 tests. You're gonna have upcoming,
We have a vacancy right now. So
you're gonna make the list of people.
the commission is in the process of, training.
Thank you.
Mr. Swager?
Nothing.
Mr. Roberts?
I have a
Oh.
question.
Oh, go ahead.
Okay, Jerry and I talked about the ordinances, the ordinance that we have on the book, and people knocking at their doors late at night. The dates and times, how they have to go to the mayor's office. Can you kind of go over that with them a little bit?
We have an ordinance on soliciting funds and solicitation, 745 in our code, and the hours are 10 a.m. to 4:30 p.m. Monday through Saturday. No soliciting on Sunday. They do have to have a permit. They have to register with the mayor's office and fill out an application for a permit in order to do this. They have to wear an identification badge from the mayor that says that they've got their permit. So if anybody is knocking out the door, and there is no, and they have no permit, and they're after 4:30 p.m., that's a violation of our ordinances. They need to call the police department. Chief is aware of it, the officers are aware of it. They will come out and address the issue with the solicitor. You know, for money. They are allowed to, well, nonprofit organizations, charitable or religious, get a separate permit from people selling goods and wares. So there is a process, but they all have to go through the mayor's office.
That would include trucks like the Schwann.
No, those are businesses. They're not soliciting. They're, they may be delivering or something, but these are people, we call them peddlers. The old day they peddle their goods from door to door.
We have a lot of cons going around, I think, right now.
And I would
That's why I
guess
asked you to bring that to council so we have it back updated.
a lot of the people that, I've heard about, got calls, my guess is a lot of them are not really legitimate solicitors. They're probably up to some nefarious.
And they actually are knocking on the door, pulling the driveway.
I had a gentleman knock on my door the other day, and he wanted to see my utility bill. And then he had several calls from the neighbors saying our utility bill was that high. And I told him, I didn't identify myself, but he had consistent to see my utility bills to see what they are. So I looked across the street, and there was another gentleman also knocking on the door also. So I called the chief, and he investigated it the following morning.
The only company that has an active permit on file right now, I actually had, violation.
So, yeah. Excuse me, real quick. This after when City of Niles used to put in the electric bills on who they thought for the best rate every year. We don't do that anymore. Do we correct?
Do we have the aggregate for natural gas? Do we still aggregate the gas, just kind of pricing for the city of Niles?
I'm not sure if we did this past year, but I know I've already talked to a few different companies about all the different utilities for moving forward. And I think I have 2 more scheduled for next week and the week after.
That's great to hear.
Yeah, my question would be, what's the advantage to letting you and go door to door, opening up a customer base for them? Why do we do that?
You're not locked into that aggregate, Barry. It's just, they give bulk pricing to the city. It was started a long, long time ago. You
Natural
remember?
gas prices natural gas was deregulated, you could choose your natural gas provider.
I understand that, but they want access to our customers, so that,
Natural gas,
well, the chief said there's one active company right now.
that's IGS Energy, that's a natural gas.
Okay.
We don't have those. We don't provide gas.
So, but I'm saying, why do we allow them to have access to the front door of our residence?
Because the front door of the resident, we can't, I own the property, I'm allowed to allow people on the property if I choose to do so. We have an ordinance on house solicitation. So as the council wants to go. There are various other ordinances around that are different for, some allow longer hours, some prohibit what's called aggressive solicitation. Some of them have different registration requirements. The problem you get into when you get into religious organizations or nonprofit groups, particularly religious organizations that are up in court. There's a group that through here a couple of years ago was prosecuted. We filed charges on them. Their lawyers from Washington, D.C. were really ready to go after us for our ordinance violating our religious rights. So, you know, it's an issue that you tread lightly on.
I appreciate your explanation. I just concerned about people coming to the front door of somebody taking advantage. What right, plus what's the minus of allowing?
And if council would like, I can provide you some samples of other legislation that other cities have, so you can compare them. If you want to review those, I will get those followed.
That'd be good, Mr. Slaughter. I agree with Mr. Stephanie and my colleagues here, because the way he was consistent with me, and I just had told him no, pretty much get off the porch, you know. But I was concerned about the senior citizens. If they're that pushy, they're gonna make them sign something that.
My guess is he's really not a solicitor. My guess is he's.
Yeah, that's why I called it chief to speak with anyone.
I don't think you can pass all the laws in the world, that's not gonna stop people like that. They're gonna have to be arrested.
The gas companies usually do it through the mail.
Right.
I've never seen them go door to door.
Terry, can you do me a favor? Make sure our booster groups within the schools are aware of that, so they don't get hung up on, because the kids run around and sell those cards or whatever. So listening, I don't want our school kids to get caught up in some
Terry, we can also get that
issue.
posted on our website, so people that don't come to a meeting and aren't that big, still need to read it, and they'll know more about that.
Well, it's in our code, it's a lengthy, it's a whole section, 745 has about 13 subsections to it.
I know somehow we can just put like downsize a little bit, paragraph or something, so people that just get on and read our city now, website, see it for themselves.
I will look into that with Mr. Dibble and try to word something together that will at least direct people to the fact.
Terry, just put a solicitation comment or question, hyperlink it to that ordinance.
Yeah, I was gonna say, we'll get a small paragraph together and make it a link to our ordinance.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Kevin, anything? Jeff?
Real quick, I wanted to inform council and the public that we did successfully complete the application for our CHIP grants, along with Gerard and Hubbard. Grant approximately $1 million, Niles' portion was $400,000. Remember, I said, put in the application, I don't know if we have it yet, but just to get to that point was a lot of work, and I want to thank the administration for all their help. So we'll know about that in the fall. We did not get that last year, so hopefully we'll be able to get that with our other fellow cities. We'll have $400,000 to be able to put into our community. So we'll keep you posted on it, but the application.
What firm are we using?
Neighborhood Development Services out of that.
They're the ones that are, okay. Thanks. Mr. Rowell? Mr. Tanzarek? Mr. Dubrow?
Yes. It's all about absolutely totally great. I myself had to call this on saying my electric rate. So, or get my bill and tell them what's on my bill. That's true if you don't live in the city. But if electric is deregulated by power, all power from anywhere, if you have Ohio Edison, then they add all those charges on. We had a lot after the deregulation came in, they both we buy our power from Ohio, and it stands right now, those things where the system won't run. I need to try to explain to them, I work for the electric company, I know you can't do this, and they hang up on me. So, if you do get those calls,
lasting?
Yes, Mayor, when we call the office, mayor's office, no one answers. They kick over to another, goes in the voicemail. I don't. But I called 3 times in 5 minutes, and I never got an answer.
Did it go?
Good voicemail, yeah.
Did you leave a message?
Oh, I don't want to leave a message. So I called.
Okay.
But what if it doesn't kick anything?
No.
What if they're only there the rest of the day, or they're gone all day, so it goes, all goes.
No, the best thing is to leave a message
Linda.
and you get called back very shortly. When something's back to the phone.
Tom, you can't have that phone rolled to another, office desk.
No. You have to roll it. It doesn't roll automatically.
That's what I'm saying, when Diane has to step out or has to leave, and Ed's
If
busy,
she's going to the bathroom or somewhere, when it's 10 minutes, she doesn't roll it over.
but if she's gone 45 minutes, does she roll it to another desk? I guess we're just asking, maybe look at the practice in the office
We'll
for,
look at that.
all right,
Off of the day, it doesn't roll over.
all right,
Someone else takes it.
Right, we'll look at that.
all right, thank you.
How long she's on.
If she calls.
We'll look, Councilman, we'll look at it.
Go for it.
We'll-
Thanks. Mr. McNaught? Mr. Steffi?
Mr. Robertson, I wanted to ask if you, happen to know about the paving project. Any kind of timeline on, for all of the four, Summit, all of the,
We had the bid opening, and we think it's a low bidder, but we hadn't been awarded. So probably a couple months we could start. We talked to the consultants today, and they are responsible for getting my people moved. I'll do it. I'll take the front 2 weeks. No problem.
Kevin, did you say a couple months to do that?
It could be up to a month.
Oh, up to a month, okay, I said a couple months.
A month or two.
All right,
Started.
thanks. Barry, anything else?
no.
Mrs. Marquez?
Yes, that was part of my question to ask you. The other part is, do they be doing curbing with that, or just the streets and stuff?
There is no curbing,
No curbing.
just the street curb.
Okay, somebody else in our hall, and I'll find out. So are they gonna relift all these holes in the concrete, the black glass?
It'll be just a mill and fill. We'll mill out, 2 inches, like 2 inches. That's what you're asking.
Yeah. No, not the whole road, but I'm given the impression that grant is gonna retake all of those.
It will, but it's a mill and fill. It's just a, if you mill out 2 inches, you grind off 2 inches,
Okay.
you replace it with 2 inches of.
Mr. Quezada?
Yeah, I have, bear with me, I have a few people saying, I want to thank Mr. New Brown, turn around for attending the East Town Morning Fire right after the storm. Andy and his crew yesterday, sewer department responded quickly to Cassandra. And especially, yesterday, I had the opportunity, I want to thank Chief Holland, Officer Frank, and Maria. Yesterday, I wanted to sit with Officer Frank and review how his procedure was with the impound lot. It just so happened when I was there, he stole the car. So I got to see from step 1 to the final step involving Maria and everybody there. So I want to thank you.
Motion to adjourn is in order by Stephanie, seconded by Lastic. All in favor, signify by aye. Aye. Huh? You pedal a little bit? Did you pedal a little bit?
They would never be able to